Well, hi YouTube, Brian James on my path to Paphos here, and for those of you who haven't seen me before, I'm a dual nationality, Irish cum Brit, who's moved from the UK to the sunny island of Cyprus in April 2025. And I'm not in Cyprus at the moment, you may have noticed. I'm in a Costas on London Road in Carlisle. And it's quite surreal actually, because a year ago I was sitting in probably one of these seats around here, making videos about my intention to move to Cyprus. And I'm back again at the moment. Ignore all the car sounds and things in the background. So yes, I'm back in the UK, and this is going to be a little bit of a negative-ish video. I don't want to be negative all the time. I don't like being negative all the time. But this is a summation of what I'm actually seeing here. And this is why I'm unhappy being back in the UK. Now, I came back on Saturday the 1st. First thing in the morning, and as I'm driving back along, well, my wife was driving back, I was in the passenger seat from Newcastle Airport. We're going across the A69, and I was looking at the fabulous colours on the trees, because it's autumn here, it's late autumn, and you had the gorgeous reds and browns of the leaves on the trees. And I was thinking, I'll miss this, but then I was listening to the news on the radio, and this is why, more than anything else, I'm so happy to be living outside the UK. Now, this is, as I say, it's a whinge video. I make no apologies for being a whinge video. I'm not asking for you to agree with me on this, but these are just, I've asked ChatGPT to give me the 5 top news items for every day since I've been across here, or every working day since I've got across here. So just have a listen to this. 1st of November, which was the Saturday when I got across here. I was treated by these. Multiple stabbed in Doncaster, London LNER train. Major incident declared. I think it was about 12 or 13 people stabbed on a train as I'm just getting off the plane. 11 charged after 13.8 million cannabis haul seized in Birmingham airport. Third one, more than 50 child asylum seekers still missing after disappearing from Kent area, from care homes in Kent. 50 kids have disappeared. The King stripped Andrew Mountbatten Windsor of his remaining titles and the HRH style. Well, why did he strip that? Because there's allegations, and I'm very careful to say allegations, and this is reading what's come out there from the press. Allegations of impropriety or possible impropriety to do with the Epstein affair. So that was the 4th thing. And the last thing on there was the front pages were calling for Andrew, who we just mentioned, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, to be barred from succession and regency roles. That was on the 1st. That was on the day I got back. I'm thinking, okay then, right. Now what they didn't say, and that was also there was a stabbing in Birmingham, there was a stabbing in London, and I later found out there was a stabbing in Manchester. So that was all on the 1st. That was all on the 1st of November, the very day I got back. Welcome home, Brian. Sunday's a quiet day. Sunday the 2nd of November. The government unveils a £9 billion defence housing strategy to overhaul the forces accommodation. British forces accommodation is in a perilously disrepair state. When I was in the forces, you had married quarters. If you moved out of a married quarter, you had a big inspection. Then it was all put out to private tender. All private tender. And the whole lot's been atrocious. So you got people who are living in squalor, whose loved ones are out fighting for our freedoms, such freedoms as they are, but out fighting for our freedoms. The second one, a report. Reports claim hundreds with overseas serious convictions entered the UK undetected. So our borders are so slack that we've got people with serious crimes coming in. We don't know where they are. We don't know who they are. Rachel Reeves, good old Rachel Reeves. Interesting for her as a landlord. Oh, if only she could do the sums. Never mind. Reeves' licence controversy deepens with estate agents' email claims. In other words, not that I'm saying she's corrupt, but there is a possible allegation of, if not corruption, a possible allegation of tax issues. Whatever. I'm not accusing anybody. These are what's in the papers. So, but it's possible allegations. It is alleged. Not by me. Number 4, Home Office under pressure over safeguarding of unaccompanied minors. I don't know what that's about. I'll have to have a look at that one. I haven't even looked at it there. And the last one, policing of immigration data sharing shortcomings highlighted by inspectors and MPs. Policing immigration data sharing shortcomings. In other words, the data that we've got on the immigration is all the pot. It's day 2. I haven't even been back beyond that. Anything I say in this, by the way, I'm not making any allegations against people. I'm literally just interpreting what I see as these headlines. So if I'm not making any accusations. I have no more evidence to put anything behind, so I'm not making any allegation claims. Just be aware of that. I don't know any better. I'm just reading what ChatGPT has presented to me. Monday the 3rd of November, so the 3rd day I was here. Manufacturing rebounds as Jaguar Land Rover restart lifts PMI to 1-year high. Right, but Jaguar aren't making any cars, and Land Rover have had such difficulties. You couldn't get insured on a Range Rover or one of the high-end Land Rovers when I left the UK. Number 2, Commons opens debate on proposed Hillsborough law duty of candour. Hillsborough. If you're not familiar with Hillsborough, there was a big tragedy went on there years and years ago. Of course, the press misreported it. Not that the press would ever do something like that, but the press misreported it. And it took years and years for the families to get any sort of recompense and any sort of justice. And it's still going on. This shouldn't be gone. This should be done, dusted, sealed. There's people's lives finished in this time. I'm not about the people who were killed on the day Hillsborough. You've got families who've still never seen closure, but passed away waiting for it. Number 3, ITV Sky deal speculation lifts broadcaster shares. Strategic review chatter. Well, basically Sky, which is now American owned, Sky is wanting to take over ITV. So our independent television will be owned by the Americans. Okay. Ministers quizzed over public service performance and spending ahead of budget. In other words, our economy's in a mess. They don't know what the hell they're spending money on. You got quangos and departments and also spending not billions but trillions as if it's just going out of fashion. This is our money, by the way. If you're a UK taxpayer, which I still am, even though I live in Cyprus, I still am a UK taxpayer because my pensions, my Air Force pension, which is an MOD pension, and my local government pension, and my war disability pension all get taxed in the UK. The war disability is 0 rate tax, fair enough, but they're all forced to taxed at source. I can't get them taxed in Cyprus at the cheaper rate. But it's our money, not theirs. It sounds like it's government money. It's not. The government are the custodians of our money. A Reeves rental licence row continues across front pages and politics shows. She's really mucked up. Mucked. M-U-C-K-E-D. Not swearing. Okay, Tuesday the 4th. That's 3 days. I can't believe all that. And that's just the top 5 headlines. Tuesday the 4th of November. This is according to ChatGPT, by the way. So this isn't what I've gone and researched. I asked ChatGPT to give me the 5 top headlines as unbiased as possible. So, Tuesday the 4th, Chancellor signals necessary choices ahead of budget. Tax rise talk intensifies. So in other words, on about income tax rises for the first time in 50 years. This isn't hitting the normal working man, is it? Not one little bit. Yes, it is. And all I've heard from them, every time you see anything is, we were left this legacy, we were left that legacy. It's over a year. Get on with it. Stop blaming your predecessors. You're in government now. It doesn't matter what your predecessors did. You said you're going to get sorted out without tax rises and you're making tax rises. You lied to us. Yes, a strong word. The government lied to the people, but they're allowed to. ASA bans LED face mask adverts over unsubstantiated medical claims. So in other words, the Advertising Standards Association has said that you can't buy these LED face masks. Nanny state. BBC faces backlash after dossier alleging impartiality failures. Yes, this was on the 5th. This was last Wednesday. This was before an awful lot's come out. So the BBC were already in the clag because of impartiality failures. They were being accused of impartiality. The CEO of the BBC News came out and said, they're not impartial. They're not impartial. They're very straight down the middle. You can lie by omission. We'll come back to the BBC in a few moments. But the crap was already hitting the fan. Services PMI points to stronger outlook. as price pressure eases. It's so expensive over here. The price pressure is easing. If this is getting better, what the hell's it been while I've been away? And, an ongoing manhunt headlines for HMP Wandsworth mistaken releases. Yes, our wonderful government, Mr. Lammy, the Justice Secretary, the Deputy Prime Minister, who wouldn't answer a question in the Commons, which was being asked of him on PMQs, when he's standing for PMQs, are you aware of any other prisoners which have been accidentally released? He wouldn't answer it. He couldn't answer it. He refused to answer it. These are the people who represent us, and they're not answering in the Commons. But there was more released. All these people being released accidentally, mistakenly. Are you keeping up? By the way, if you are enjoying this, I don't know if I'm enjoying it or not. I think I'm just justifying me leaving the country, vindicating me leaving the country. If you are enjoying this, give me a subscribe, thumbs up, and a tick on the all on the bell. Sorry, bit of hiccups there. If you are enjoying this, please hit the subscribe button. Please give me a thumbs up, like, and also hit the bell and tick all. Now, what that does is it helps YouTube's algorithm to get more and more people to see this, and it doesn't cost you a penny, it doesn't commit you to anything, it's nothing silly like that, but it really makes this channel work harder. So thank you very much for all the people who've done that. And if you want to give a bit of financial support to the channel, then you'll find there's a QR code up there. Just hit that, follow it. But there's also a manual link in the description below where you can buy me a coffee or buy me a beer, whichever it comes up as on that. And thank you to all the people who have. Anyway, Thursday, 6th of November, Bank of England holds the base rate at 4% and flags cooling inflation pressures. If you have a look for the inflation in Cyprus, it's about 0.1%. Well, actually, it's 0.1% on some of the lookups I've done and 0% on others. And you've got 4% inflation in the UK. And you're wondering why I'm so keen on living in Cyprus? Record referrals prevent, which is the counter-terrorism thing where you can basically snitch on people for anything you fancy. Record referrals to prevent counter-extremism program up approximately 27% year on year. Have we really got 27% more terrorists? Or do we have 27% more people who are wanting to snitch on each other? I don't know, you tell me. I didn't write these headlines. Police arrest after serious assault at Reading College. Inquiry is ongoing. So there's serious assault at Reading College. I don't know anything about that, but it was obviously a serious assault. I'd be interested to find out the background on it. Killer jailed for Sheffield Good Samaritan murder. Another murder. At least they got the killer and jailed him. Makes a change. And finally, business groups push for pension fund investment mandates in UK assets. The pensions situation in the UK is just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. And with the budget coming up, they're talking about even more pressure on pensioners. The pensions in the UK are not a benefit. I repeat, state pensions are not a benefit. Work-related pensions are not a benefit. They're your money which you've invested in. And the government is screwing up. The government is penalising you for doing what they've been telling you to do for years. They're not benefits. They're returns on your investments. You've paid that money in. If you're a UK taxpayer, UK national insurance payer, that's your money. You've paid into that. If you've been in a workplace pension, that's your money. You've paid into that. It's not a benefit. Really, it's not. I've only been back 6 days. I haven't even got through the full week yet. See why I'm not wanting to come back. Friday the 7th of November, 1 week since I came. Wrongly released foreign offender recaptured in London after 9 days on the run. So they captured one, but there's still more out there. ITV confirms talks on a 1.6 billion sale of media and entertainment arm to Sky. Like I said previously, the Americans taking over ITV, our independent television. Our British television is going to be Americanized. Nothing against Americans. But why do we have to have everything owned by Americans in this country? The Chancellor faces pressure over potential income tax rises in the budget. Yeah, first time that we've had income tax rises for 50 years. As I've just said, let's hit the little man. Let's hit the person who's working. Because you don't pay income tax if you're on benefits. Well, not most of them. So the people who are actually out there working hard are going to be taxed even more money taken off us to pay for the people who come across here and do nothing. I can't do that in Cyprus. If you go across to Cyprus and you're on a visa where you can't work, you have to bring your income in. If you're a Brit going to Cyprus, a third national, you have to bring your income in from outside. I'm an EU citizen, so I can actually work. But I work over there. I pay my tax in Cyprus. I pay my social insurance in Cyprus. I pay my YESI in Cyprus. I've gone as an immigrant. I am happily call myself an immigrant and an expat. Yes, whatever you want to make of that. I don't care. That conversation's for the past. But I'm paying my way. Happy to pay my way. And anybody who comes in who's unable to work has to bring the money in from outside. Yet over here we've got a whole load of people who are coming into the country who don't work. 50-odd% or whatever it is, from the last thing I heard, who don't work. In huge levels. 4 Labour MPs regained the whip after welfare reform rebellion. So in other words, there was a welfare reform paper went through. 4 Labour MPs voted against it, so they lost the whip. They've been given it back now. You were naughty boy, slap on the wrist. Come back into the fray. We need your votes. And finally, the government touts small boats return to France under new arrangement. Another new arrangement. It's not going to do any good. In fact, well, I'll leave it because it might come back shortly, but it's not going to do any good. It really isn't. New arrangement. What does that mean? A new way for the press to tell us the same old story, but in a different way? It was interesting because the government the other day said that there'd been a period where nobody came over. It's because there were storms. You can't get a rubber dinghy across the channel if it's storms. Finally, Saturday the 8th of November, this is 1 week to the day since I got back. UK set to emulate elements of Denmark's stringent immigration model. Really? Well, they keep on using all the excuses. They can't do this, can't do that because of international law, international this. Other countries get away with it. Cyprus, where I've gone to, have got some really tight laws over immigration. Far tighter than the UK, and they're EU citizens. The EU is supposed to be now a sovereign state, but it still comes under these things. I think it's an excuse not to implement it. A 1.4 billion COVID PPE, personal protective equipment contractor under scrutiny over unused stock and political links. I don't know who this is. Could it be the lady in the House of Lords? You tell me. I don't know. I haven't read the thing. These are headlines. As I say, I make no accusations. I don't know what the thing is behind. I'm just reading off of this. I'm just making an interpretation, and I'm certainly not making any accusations. These are just my interpretation of what I'm reading. Ministers face questions of a justice system after wrongful prisoner release saga. Yes, I'm not surprised. But they get asked these questions, but as I say, Lammy who didn't even bother to answer them. And he's the justice minister. So, ministers face questions, so what? Over justice system, so what? About wrongful prisoner release saga. So you're not going to get any answers. Reports of internal Labour unease over leadership and tax signalling. Wow. Having a little internal contretemps. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. You know that. And finally, on the 8th, pensions and tax changes floated ahead of the budget. Yes, this is the spoon feed slightly ahead. It's the drop a few morsels so that when you get the big one, it doesn't come as a shock. About 3 days worth of the same sort of thing. And then eventually when the budget comes, they'll say, well, this is going to happen. And you say, oh, I knew that was going to happen. They told us last week several times. So that was the 8th. I didn't do one on the 9th. But I did do one on the 10th. So, again, the top 5 headlines. Oh, I love this one. Number 1, BBC Director General Tim Davie and the Head of News, Deborah Turness, resign amid accusation of serious and systemic bias in coverage. Now, this comes into the Israel-Palestine conflict, about them not being particularly straight down the middle and impartial. But also this comes into the thing which is going on at the moment about doctoring Trump's speech to portray a different picture to what was actually intended, allegedly. Again, I'm very careful. It's allegedly because I just don't know. I see what I see on the news, and the news may be biased, as I've already said. You tell me. But when you've got President Trump talking now about a $1 billion lawsuit against the BBC is in stuck. That is an opinion of mine. The BBC is in stuck. The license fee, because in the UK, if you're looking from outside, in the UK we have to pay a license fee to the BBC, which is the government-controlled, although it's supposed to be independent, broadcaster, so that we can watch live programs from any supplier. So even though the BBC gets some money, if we watch anybody else, we still have to have a license to watch the TV on that, or computer, or anything else. Yeah. Well, people are stopping paying the license fee in their droves, in the millions, and that's hitting the BBC's money coming in. But people are losing faith over the BBC on this one. But be careful what you say about the BBC. These are not me alleging. These are me interpreting what I've got from a ChatGPT source. I'm the same. I am accusing no one. Number 3, legal experts will raise concerns about the process used by authorities to ban Palestine action as activists criticise flawed decision-making. So in other words, Palestine Action, which is now an illegal organisation. What's the proper term for it? In the UK, it's been classed as an illegal organisation, and it's illegal to promote it or to be part of it or whatever. The legal experts are now raising concerns about how the authorities banned Palestine Action. Again, I'm not making comment pro or against, but this is what we've got. Number 4, a woman dies after being stabbed in the neck. Another stabbing in the neck in Birmingham, prompting a murder charge and an investigation into public safety. How many? I've been back 9 days by this one, is it? Or 10 days. I'm on 10th day back. And I must have at least 15 or 16 stabbings that I've mentioned here. 15 or 16 stabbings. Number 5, a UK judge found Russian-linked property owner who declared poverty actually held 217 million in assets, highlighting money laundering and finance transparency issues. I shall keep quiet on that one. So I'll probably be going back to something similar from people in similar areas. I shall keep out of that conversation. You make your own things on that. Finally, yesterday, Tuesday the 11th of November. So fresh off the ChatGPT press, 5 top headlines. UK unemployment rises to 5%. Now that's discounting all the people on 0-hour contracts and on benefits and everything else like that. They don't count. And we've still got 5%. This is getting back to the 1970s in my book. I remember the 1970s well in the UK. It was a horrendously bad period. Actually, most of that was under Labour. Early 70s was under Tories, under Edward Heath. That was atrocious. That really was bad. And then Labour came in and didn't make it any better, made it worse. Because when I left Wallsend in 1979, it was 25% unemployment, where I came from. Anyway, boosting chance of a Bank of England rate cut in December. Well, let's hope they do a rate cut. As I say, Cyprus is either 0.1% or 0% interest. Number 2, biosecurity alert. Parliamentarians warn of a large volume of illegally imported meat while UK-EU SPS deal is still pending. What's going on here? This is almost taking us back to mad cows from, 20 years ago, mad cow disease. Number 3, Global Fund to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria welcomes UK pledge of 850 million to its AIDS replenishment amid global health concerns. So again, your money, my money, being spent on something which, well, You've got to trust Big Pharma, and I don't trust Big Pharma. You've got to trust things like the World Health Organization. I don't trust the World Health Organization. I'll leave that there. You make your own choices on that one. Number 4, tech turbulence. Global shares slide, including the UK's tech exposure after SoftBank uploads its stakes in Nvidia, despite the FTSE 100 reaching a new high. Nvidia is one of the biggest organizations in the world. It's got profits bigger than an awful lot of countries. I think we're in for a financial fall. If you think we're in for a financial fall, let me know in the comments below. In fact, any of these news items, let me know in the comments below. I'm really interested. I know it's a bit of a long video, but I'm quite enjoying this offloading. This has been sitting in my head for the last week. Finally, last news item. Large pro-Palestinian march in London. Why do we have pro-Palestinian marches in London? What the hell's it actually got to do about this? Why are we having marches in London? Why are we having marches in any of the big cities about Palestine? Never understood that. And no, I'm not making a way either side between Palestine and Israel. That's up to you to do. But I just don't understand why we have huge, great big marches about situations which are nothing to do with British people. There may be a lot of people come in from those countries. There may be a lot of people who come in from countries which support that. But as a thing, when I've come back here and seen all these Union flags, all the Union Jack flags and all the St George Cross, I know people going about Union Jack. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to make a fuss. I couldn't care less. But the Union flags and the St George Cross, when I got called a little while ago flag shagging Nazi, because I asked if there was any Union flags up in Carlisle, yet we get these demonstrations where there's Palestinian flags being waved around all over the place. It does tend to make me wonder what the hell's going on. So anyway, large pro-Palestinian march in London, one of the UK's biggest demonstrations since October the 7th, raises concerns about public order and security. Damn right it does. It frightens the living daylights out of me what's going on. So there we are. 11 days I've been here, 11 days, and look what news we've had. Have a look at the Cyprus news. I know before I came away there was a murder. It was either Limassol or Larnaca. I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been drug-related. It was one of the big wigs in a football team. I don't know. Again, I'm speculating on that. I'm just trying to work out what happened in the background. But that's one stabbing. I think it was a stabbing. Might not have been a stabbing, but it was a murder anyway. One murder. And it's huge news. I've gone to one of the safest countries in the world. I've gone to a country which is very stable. I've gone to a country which is incredibly friendly. I've gone to a country where financially it's superb. I've gone to a country which is aware of its own identity, where they still want to protect their own identity, where they still want to protect the identity of their country. And that's wonderful. I've said a few times on this channel, I've gone across there not to impose my culture onto Cyprus, but to learn its culture, to take in the culture of the island of Cyprus, take in its history, phenomenal history. My son's over there at the moment, and he's going around all sorts of places, and he is stunned by the island. I've gone over there to learn the language, so that I'm not going to be somebody who's just sitting there making everybody speak my language, even if it is the most common language, apart from Mandarin probably, but even if it is the most common Western language on the planet, I still think that going to somewhere else to live, I should be learning the language and using, not just learning, but using the language as much as possible, which I'm trying to do. Not only that, I should respect that place. You tell me what you make of these comments. As I say, all I've done is ask ChatGPT to give me the top 5 for each day I've been here, and it doesn't make good reading. Let me know in the comments below. If you put anything particularly acerbic, particularly off-key, I'll just delete it, by the way, so don't even bother. Anything hateful. I don't want to say anything about Israelis in Cyprus and things like that, and that's not of an interest to me. But let me know about your thoughts about the difference between living on the island of Cyprus and living in the UK in 2025. I'm being quite honest. I've been telling everybody this is probably my last trip across here. I may do a house swap with my daughter occasionally in the future, just so that we can give each other a break and look after each other's dogs. It's easy holiday then, for her especially. But I won't be coming over here because I particularly want to. I just find this somewhere I don't want to particularly be anymore. I'm scared, to be honest. I'm scared to be here. I'm scared to be a British citizen in Britain. I find it an awful lot more safe, comforting, being an Irish or a British citizen in Cyprus. Let me know what you think below. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider buying me a coffee. There's a QR code link above, or you can find the link in the description. Or if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up and hit the bell and tick the old box to get notifications every time I upload a new video. It really does help. And thank you to everybody who has done that, because you are awesome people. Back to the positive videos after this one. This is honestly my last negative video on this, because it get me down. So back to the positive videos. There'll be a few more from the UK yet. I'm here for a few more weeks. If you do see a little red Nissan Note flying around with a red-headed lad driving it, that'll probably be my son, who's, as I say, crossing Cyprus and thoroughly enjoying himself, visiting all sorts of places. I'm getting phone calls from left, right and centre. You didn't tell me about this. You didn't tell me about that. What haven't you told? Well, you haven't told me about Paphos Forest. Fabulous place, he says. The views are awesome. You haven't told me about all these treks up beside Troodos and things where I can go walking in the mountains. He's loving it. My wife and daughter will be across there soon. But I'll be back at the end of the month, or beginning of December, and I'm really looking forward to coming back and restarting my life in my new home. There's one little thing, actually, which is interesting. Before I finish, I've lived here 38 years. I don't know if I put this in the previous video, but I've lived just outside Carlisle for 38 years. But I've always called the North East my home. I've always called Wallsend my home. This has been where I live, but my home was always where I came from. And for the first time in my life, I'm saying that somewhere else is my home. Cyprus is my home. Paphos is my home. And I can't wait to get home. Best wishes to everybody. I'm missing you all intensely. And I can't wait to see you soon. Bye-bye.